Frame-by-frame animation is something I've tried before, but I've never spent an extended period of time working on one. The biggest reason being, I don't have the perseverance to sit down and draw static frames for hours straight. But you know what they say, never back down, never give up, so that's what I'm doing today. And I'll try to make this video as beginner friendly as possible. For this animation, I used Clip Studio Paint EX, and I wanted to try drawing out 1. A chase scene, and 2. Impact frames. I'll be trying to mimic the same animation preset that anime studios make, which generally means 24 frames per second and animating by 2s, 3s, or 4s. While anime studios work with 24 frames per second, they use a lot of tricks to make it seem like there are more frames than there actually are, like moving the background, camera, or only moving the mouth of a character. Animating by 2s just means that 2 frames will take up 1 image, like so. Additionally, I just wanted to say that after completing the animation for this video, coloring is a pain. It literally took over 60% of the whole process and it burnt me out crazy fast. It doesn't help that I'm also taking 8 different classes in school, only to come back to a few hours of bland coloring. So a quick tip is, don't color unless your animation is short or you actually enjoy doing it. All I did was lay out base colors, which didn't actually improve the scene by that much, so I strongly recommend having your colors either be non-existent or extremely simple. Like most things, animations are like a hopper system. You start broad, then slowly start making your way down to finer details. My plan was to have a falling character and then be chased by some weird monster in a mid-air flying scene, and then the character would turn around and boom, impact frames. Once you're done planning some of it, it's time to go into more detail. Storyboarding is when you start roughly drawing some of the main events. For example, in this scene, I wanted a chase scene with a flying character which leads into a few mid-air flips. The keyframe phase is where you can start drawing the actual movements of your animation. A keyframe draws the start and finish of a movement. For example, a punch would have an anticipation frame, a ready frame, and then a release frame. For my animation, I had about 30 keyframes for the character. Speaking of keys, it's important to keep track of the speed of your animation. For those that have taken physics, remember these dot diagrams? Animation works the same way. A falling ball would have more frames in this section than the ending. Faster moving objects have more displacement as they gain acceleration, and less displacement as acceleration is lost. If you're having trouble with timing or poses, I suggest using reference animations. Just search up something related to your own animation idea. You could reference the timing or even the poses or camera angles used. On YouTube videos, you can use the comma and period key to move between frames. In-betweens is what makes an animation smoother. It's all of the frames in between the keys. However, since I'm animating over 400 frames, I didn't actually sketch that much, and practically went straight into the final line art. Yes, I'm lazy, but I'm also not going to drive myself insane, detailing 400 frames in the span of 2 weeks while also attending to school. Impact frames do exactly what they sound like. They allow animations to create a feeling of explosion or impact, in something such as a powerful ability. After studying some impact frames from other animes, I noticed a few key elements. 1. Higher contrast makes things more impactful. 2. Animate in a black-white pattern. 3. Denser lines in certain areas. And 4. Act as if a lot of motion is occurring. As you can see, these frames have a pattern of turning black and white, while there are dense motion lines around certain areas of impact. I use this green dot to represent where the source of power is coming from, and the lines are parallel to that direction. Before I show the final product, I wanted to address a few more tips to help those that might be trying to mimic the same style. For my backgrounds, I like to have 3 repeating frames of the same seamless ground or building animation. For example, here I have these 3 frames repeating over and over. I create an additional 3 more repeating frames every time the horizon line changes. Attack on Titan also used a similar trick in this scene. Secondly, make sure to use motion lines to indicate fast-moving objects. In this scene, after doing a backflip, the character lands pretty quickly, so I use these lines to indicate speed. The same would apply for punches, kicks, or pretty much anything with acceleration. It's also a great excuse to be lazy when drawing some lines. Thirdly, I briefly mentioned this before, but if you're having trouble with the layout of your animations, I suggest trying to find multiple reference animations from other animes or wherever. Then you can copy a few frames or movements from each one and slowly stitch them together. It's a much more approachable way for beginners because it also trains your mind with these action scenes. And now, without further ado, here's the final result of my 2-week animation project. For my next video, I will be learning to construct my own gacha game and I will be publishing it on the Apple App Store. If you like this content, please subscribe as 100% of my unsubscribed viewers are currently unsubscribed. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.